we get started.
Just your opening thoughts, I guess, on the performance this week compared to week one.
Well, I think we took another step in the right direction. We cleaned up some things from week one, a lot of things to be quite frank with you, and then we came out and like Coach has said earlier, I'm sure he talked about this. Is we started a little bit slow, and then got on track and really got in sync and really played some really sound football and they knew their job, they did their job, and so that's producing some things in the first two games, and we're escalating. As we go through the season, we got to improve every week. But at this point in time, we are where we are. We've taken some steps in the run defense, playing solid and fitting the runs good. We've been good in the red zone. We obviously, I think we're getting pressure on the quarterback. We're getting good pass rush. We're tackling has really improved. Our effort to the football has really improved. We're playing really good on first down defense. In terms of that. So all those things, that's history, but it is a measuring stick. We have to have measuring sticks, and we got to sustain it. We got to do it tomorrow in practice. So that's we're headed in the right direction. I think probably the thing that is not, it's not gosh awful, but we're leaving a lot on the table on third down. We're just average there right now, and those things are all correctable, contained here and there. The right fit or the right peel on a six-man pressure, those kind of things have cost us a little bit. We've got to get that corrected real quick.
Coach, you mentioned how you start off the game a little sluggish on defense. What adjustments did you make throughout the game to really adjust to Southern Miss?
Well, there's two kinds of adjustments. There's player adjustments, and then there's schematic adjustments. And obviously in any game there's schematic adjustments where you will kind of see what you're going to do, because there were some challenges there. All of last year they had a quarterback. He got hurt. They went to what they call their super back, and they played the last three games in that totally exclusively. Then this game, the game before us, the quarterback gets hurt in the first half. We kind of didn't think that he would be back, so everything led to the super back because it was the second half exclusively, totally. So we had to practice against it because that's what's on tape. We got none of that, zero. So there was some, our game plan was 50-50, and so we had to take that 50% we're not seeing, and then we had to pull out a few calls out of our pockets and make some adjustments there. But I think the players got in sync too. So it's player adjustments and schematic adjustments.
With Texas A&M quarterback situation, their starter didn't play well, of course, but they have other options they can potentially go to. Are you preparing for multiple quarterbacks this week, and how different maybe are those guys?
Well, Coach Fisher, he's a bright football coach, and their offense is their offense. That's what it's always been, and his packages are his packages. So in terms of what routes they're running in third down, what routes they're running in second long, what runs they're running, what formations you're getting, you'll always get a little nuance here and there with him, different formations, different motions that he hadn't shown for a while or he pulls out. But schematically, it's pretty much the same. So really, when you start talking about two different quarterbacks, one's a little bit more pro style, and the other one's a little, he can throw it really good, but he runs really well. So there's that nuance, but it's not a huge difference in schematics, which that's the big thing.
How do you assess your secondary from Saturday? It seemed like they tested you guys on a couple of jump balls there.
Yeah, well, it's football, so when you can't run the ball, you're gonna get a lot of shots, and we had some shots. We had a PI on one. One was a great throw and catch. Tip your hat and play the next play, and then there's a couple things we can still clean up there and tighten up the coverage. But they bought in. They're playing good technique. We just got to keep progressing. And pass coverage is is not just, I mean, it's not supposed to be like one-on-one on air. I mean, you know, we got to get to the quarterback. You got to affect the quarterback.
The App State, they played kind of such an interesting game against A&M. I think A&M only ran 38 offensive plays. Is there a lot you can take away from how they pulled off that upset Saturday?
Well, schematically, in fact, Dale Jones, the defense coordinator, I was actually on the staff when he was a player, so I know him really well. You know, schematically, we're a little bit different, but there's some same as there. You know, we always take things from any games that we watch, things that people do good. I mean, as you know, football coaches, nobody's really inventing anything. You're stealing things, and so. But in terms of the way the game unfolded, I mean, that game unfolded in a unique, different way that really 38 plays. App State could play Texas A&M 9 more times, and it probably wouldn't be 38 plays. So you can't take a lot from that. And a lot of that was because I think they snapped the ball. I watched the TV copy as well as the other one, I think 4 or 5 times already. So, you know, they're snapping the ball really, really with the shot clock down. And all of us in this room that have watched football the last 5 or 6 years, you know, they're snapping it at about 23, 22, 21 seconds, and they were snapping it 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the way it used to be when I first started coaching, so I'd seen it before, but you just don't see that much anymore.
So you talked about using 3 safeties during this season. Obviously, James Williams and Cam Kitchens have certainly shined, but Avante Williams hasn't seen the field much. Are you still looking to use the 3 safeties?
We did. We've used it in every game. Al Blades. So every game we've had 3 safeties out there at the same time.
What about Avante Williams?
He's doing well. He's doing well coming along. You know, it's all a process for all of us, and he's doing very well. I think he will be just fine.
I asked Mario this, is part of, and you've been a coach a long time, part of being a coach is not just X's and O's, right? It's also the mental state of your players, the emotional state, you know.
The academic state, the social state, the parental state. I get it.
Players being frustrated, maybe they're not getting as much playing time as they think they deserve. How do you deal with that? And yeah.
Well, I mean, you do it just like you would with your own son. I had a son play football, and you know, you go care about them, you go nurture them, you go help them through adversity if they're having adversity with it. Some do, some don't. We're always interacting with them like that. It's a process. You know, I've had guys that didn't get their pants dirty the first 5 games of the year and started the next 6 games. I've had guys that didn't get their pants dirty the first 3 years they were on campus and played 5 years in the NFL. It's different for everybody. And so it's just like you would with your own child or your own son, your own daughter. You stay on top of it, you work through it, you help people learn how to fight through whatever they're having, whatever issues they're having, whatever struggles they're having, and help them get to where they need to get. That's coaching. And so that's not a problem. It's just like raising your own.
Coach, also I'm wondering, because the participation chart for UM said that Avante participated in this last game, but I know Pro Players Focus or whatever said
Special teams.
He was on special teams.
Yeah, he was on special teams.
And the first game, defense too, right?
Yes.
Coach, I wanted to ask you just about the linebacker thing. I know you mentioned the tackling overall was better in this game. I'm just curious about specifically the linebackers and whether they've been impressed.
Well, they're improving every day, and they've accepted the challenge. And you know, we've got 2 young ones coming along too, and so that's a positive. That's a real positive. You know, Chase and Wesley are coming along, and so we had the other 4 that you've seen out there and rotated. Their production has gone up. Their ability to quarterback the defense, make checks, make adjustments on the field. They've really made a lot of progress in the last 2 weeks on that.
Coach, Corey Flagg has led the defense in tackles for the first 2 games. What do we really like from him so far?
The fact that he's really immersed himself in learning football, but also studying his opponents. And so, you know, we're not out there. There comes a point in time when you got to hand them the keys to the car and let them drive, and hope they don't run into something, that they're safe. And so then they become more comfortable with it, and then they become a coach on the field. And so that's kind of, he's headed in that direction. He's really done a nice job with it.
And then Nigel Kelly had his first sack of his career on Saturday. How do you see his role progressing as the season?
Just like you saw, more sacks. He's a natural pass rusher. He does that very well, but he plays the run really well too. I mean, he's got that flexibility, change of direction, speed, and right now he's young, but he does know there's only one football out there, and he knows to chase it, and he can get there in a hurry.
Hey Kevin, we talked about 38 plays. That's like a half a game of a typical game, and their first game was against Sam Houston. I haven't watched Sam Houston, so I don't want to comment too much on their ability level, but how hard is this making your preparation with such a small, significant sample size of their offense with this set of personnel? They're playing a lot of freshmen.
Right. Not as hard as it was the first 2 weeks. First 2 weeks, a lot of transfers out, a lot of transfers in, new offensive coordinator, they hadn't called it in 3 years.
Right.
Okay, so that was really difficult. Then this past week, okay, quarterback out, they'd been the Wildcat, they'd been Wildcat last year, so we talked about that being 2 or 3 different offenses in one. Coach Fisher is Coach Fisher, and you can go back and watch Florida State tape, and you can watch last year's tape, and you're going to see the basics the same. And so the body of work, who they played, it's still his offense. So it's obviously the challenge is great. They're very talented, very, very talented. It's at home in College Station. So, it's a different place to play. I've been there several times. It's different. So all of those things that really should matter, you have to factor in and prepare for. Crowd noise, all those kind of things. But what he does and how he does it, the base rudiments of it, are not to change.
We'll do a few more for Coach.
Coach, how do you think your bigger cornerbacks, Ivy and Stevenson, have done against the smaller receivers so far, and then the challenges ahead against this team?
Well, there were some. Number one was a large receiver. Now, he was a large receiver that could run last week, and so, but they've progressed very nicely. I mean, it's a process. That's a hard job. When you're out there on the island by yourself. I mean, my mom watched football all her life. My dad was a coach. She got 3 sons that have coached at some point in time in their life. If the A gap is open and the tackle didn't get in it, nobody in the stands will know. But everybody watching TV and everybody in the stands is going to know if that guy didn't cover that guy because he's out there on the island by himself. It's a hard job. And so it's all about technique. It's all about confidence. And they have progressed very nicely in their confidence. It's a new scheme. And so, we just got to keep getting better every day.
And what have you seen from the pass rushers? I think they're rated like 4th in the country on Pro Football Focus right now.
Who's that?
The pass rushers. What have you seen them do well?
Well, last week, I mean, even on the PI we had and the deep ball that was caught down the sideline over on their sideline. I mean, there was some heat on him, real heat. And so what we're doing is we're really generating a substantial pass rush with 4 guys, which that's huge. That helps the DBs. It also helps the fact that you don't have to pressure as much. I like the pressure, but why pressure if you're getting there with 4 guys? You got more guys to cover them. So we're not there yet, but we're making progress.
You've been a part of good defenses. Have you coached a defense that is this deep at D tackle? Like on Saturday,
I have.
a lot of guys making plays.
At 3 different stops. Yeah. But part of that's because where I've been.
How important is that group going to be this week against?
It will be important every week. The game goes really, really fast. They're 300, 310, 290, 280 pounds. I don't know if you noticed, but it's a little warm out there. When you can keep those guys fresh, it's huge. When you only got 4 of them or 5 of them, it shows up in the second half if you can't, if it's a very hot day and they're throwing the ball a lot, it can wear them out. Pass rush takes a lot of energy, and so it's key. Then the other thing about it is fortunately all these guys, we talk about the pass rush, but these guys are You know, they've made a big jump in our scheme. I can't talk about the past, don't know, but in our scheme, they made a big jump in playing run blocks and fitting their gaps and holding their point in run backs and run blocks. And so, you know, that they're the key to the whole thing. Starts up front, ends up front.
Coach, have
Last
you been to
question
that-
for Coach
Have
Steele.
you been to that stadium? I know it affects the offense more than the defense, but have you been to Kyle Field? You probably have. Right?
Let's see, I think about 7, 8, 9 times. Yeah.
Really, your experience there, or I mean, now it's really, really large.
Yeah, well, I've been there since they did the expansion a couple of times.
Right.
Well, I can tell you this, it gets so loud, and I've been there on the sideline with headsets that you can't hear in the headsets. I've been in the box there when it was so loud you couldn't hear on the headsets.
So how do you deal with it?
The best way you can, scream a lot in the headsets.
Thanks, Coach Steele.
Thank you all.
Thanks.